Welcome to the AI for You Cafe for live presentations. Today, the speaker is from the Helios project. It's Clara Canova. Hi, Clara. Great you're here. It's Italy, right?
Yes, it's Italy. Turin.
Great.
Turin.
Yeah. So she's senior researcher at Links Foundation Italy, and she presents her talk on Helios Road to Impact, Links Exploitation Methodology for Horizon Projects. This cafe session is a cross-project collaboration effort between the Horizon 2020 European research projects Helios and AI for You and the current Next Generation Internet program. My name is Carmen McWilliams, and I'm the moderator and organizer, and I'm the director of the company Grassroots Arts and partner in both European projects, AI for You and Helios. Please take notice that this session will be recorded. The recording of this live web session will be available afterwards on YouTube or go to stage if the speaker, in this case Clara, will allow this. No confidential information shall be shared in this cafe session. In this cafe, the speakers express their personal view and opinions. This is not necessarily the official AI for You or Helios project opinion. So again, welcome. I see you all coming in. Great, you are coming to our cafe. It is an interactive show, so if you have questions to Clara, please type them in. On the right side in the panel, you see that you can type in questions. I will read them afterwards to the presentation, to the presenter, to Clara, and we are really looking forward for your questions. But now we're coming to the main attraction, to Clara. I will introduce her and then I give the stage to Clara. Clara Canova is a senior researcher at Links Foundation, previously a business consultant in digital and automotive industries. Her research focuses on digital transformation for the circular economy. She holds a Master of Science in International Administration and Global Governance from the University of Gothenburg and a Master in Management and Service Engineering from the St. Anna School for Higher Education in Pisa. Great to have you here, Clara, again. So now I will give you the floor, the presenter role, and we are looking forward to your presentation. Here, you should now see that
okay.
you.
I can see you now. Okay. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you for the amazing introduction you gave of me. And I can tell everybody I am just a little bit emotional. I haven't been doing this for a while due to the pandemic, but I will do my best. So what we're talking about today is Helios Links, which is my research institute, the research institute I work for, and how we work on exploitation plans for research projects on Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. This is the agenda of today. So I'm going to present to you Helios, our Horizon 2020 project. And then we're going to go to our methodology for exploitation, JLM, a journey from lab to market. And then we will discuss how JLM and Helios, JLM has been implemented into Helios to carry on a successful exploitation strategy. So what's Helios? Helios is a Horizon 2020 research initiative action. Here you can see all the very technical parts. You can see also our project website and our platform website. The main technologies used in Helios are distributed online social networks, social network services, video streaming, peer-to-peer communication, real-time communication, blockchain, augmented reality and virtual reality, micropayments, and 3D streaming. So basically a bit of the traditional classical social network stuff and a little bit more of, let's say, innovation or dream factor. So what's the mission of Helios? Basically, we're trying to create a platform on which to build new social network focused on full control of data and identification and creation of a safe space for users through feature of trust and privacy. We are not building a social network. We are just building the platform on which other developers, other entrepreneurs can build their safe, data compliant social network. What we hope to do is to contribute to the general European discourse on safer internet, safer data protection, transparency, and verification of content to create a more real life like experience, a natural experience, and also one that where all the distrust that has been building up during due to the scandals on social network of the last few years will be a little bit expunged, forgotten, overcome. So how is, we are going into the technical part, how is Helios built? Helios is built into three, let's say, different parts. There's the Helios core, where we have core modules as the core GUI, communication manager, security and privacy manager, profile manager, social ego network manager, context and trust manager, personal data and storage manager. Then we have the extension modules, the one that help allows to build other features, extra features, and that is neurobehavioral classifier modules, graph mining, media streaming, payment, rewarding, and sensor management. Because as I mentioned before, we are also working into the realm of AR and VR. Taking this platform, we can build Helios apps on that. And that is the third part. And the Helios apps is, some of them are being built by our partners, our technical partners, as validation of the project as of now. And some other, we hope, will be built by whoever interested partner around Europe and outside of Europe want to build a better social network. So how was Helios conceived and built? We started working on Helios based on three use cases we brainstormed at the beginning of the process of the project. Use case A, is a Helios Cultural Hub, and it deals with smart environments, immersive environments, augmented and virtual reality. So basically imagine smart museums experience, a smart exhibition experience, a smart train stations, okay? UCB, Helios Connecting People, is basically the idea of creating some kind of social network or messaging app built on Helios, where we do group communication, where the trust module is paramount, where there are networks, and we try to build meaningful connections. UCC, it's Helios Citizen Journalism, and is the declination of Helios as a platform where citizen journalists can upload safely with blockchain-enabled anonymity their content produced on the streets, even maybe in very dangerous environment, as in countries where the level of censorship is very high. And at the same time, it guarantees them anonymity, but control of the intellectual property of their material. And on the other side, it allows news actors, media actors such as broadcaster and network channels to acquire and pay for the use of those materials and use in their mass media broadcasting. So As I said, that was Helios in a very few words, and now we're going to talk about the JLM. We just call it JLM, and it's the journey from lab to the market. And what is a journey from lab to market? It's our proprietary advisory practice where we help researchers and sometimes also business and R&D departments to take their innovation and research and ideas and bring it to the market, to a viable business idea, a viable business project. How we do this? It's the brainchild of the business model innovation team at Links, of which I am part. And our value proposition is to turn research-led results, which can be all the ones you can imagine, which is tech or algorithms or data, or even sometimes something that is more immaterial as scientific innovation and academic innovation, and turn it into sustainable business ventures. May it be spin-offs or brand new startups, or even just business plans for established businesses. So what have we achieved so far with the JLM? We have quite a history of success. We worked on Horizon 2020 and EIT projects. We are also already gearing up to start working on Horizon Europe's project. We won more than 10 grants so far in the last 10 years, and some industrial contracts too. Our business partners have been Amadeus, which is the B2B travel company, Atos Engineering, the consulting society, and Reply, another consulting society. We so far we have a revenue. We have gathered revenues for 3 million euros, more than 3 million euros, and we're quite proud of that. I will not read the review that our partners made of us because I am vain, but not that much vain. I will leave it to you for further reference. So what changes from the traditional exploitation approach and the JLM method? It's the role of exploitation within the research project. For JLM, the exploitation is the engine of the project from beginning to development to implementation and closure of the project. We also don't apply a waterflow, the logistic or very from start to finish approach, but we like to foster an agile environment with a collaborative mindset and culture, out of which we propose tailor-made solutions for all our business and academic partners. We try to do some kind of consultancy, but with a heart and soul. About the role of the DOA, the DOA is not just the ruler of the project for us, but is more of a guideline. We try to use the DOA as an instrument to maximize the value proposition of the project. We also don't like to stigmatize errors and failures and mistakes. We go on with the mindset of learning by doing and trial and error. We are agile, so we do it in cycles and iterative process. So if it doesn't work the first time, we take what's good and we fix what's bad. We don't cast away everything, or we don't sweep it under the rug. So how the exploitation path for Horizon 2020 project is structured? We have three. It's very traditional. I mean, it's initialization, exploration, exploitation. It's modular. So for each one of these three phases, you have goal, focus, and deliverables. They just change. So we start with setting the scene, and then we shape the roadmap, and then reach the market. And we do this with comprehension, decision making, and validation and execution. Spoiler alert, we are on validation and execution now. The deliverable is usually, as any Horizon 2020 project, initial exploitation plan, midterm exploitation plan, and final exploitation plan. where we are at right now. So going on the exploitation journey for Helios, implementing the JLM, which was this slide that just jumped. We take our template and we can say that we had on initialization, we submitted a deliverable 8.2. We are part, oh, I forgot to tell you, I am the work package leader of work package 8, which is exploitation and dissemination. I'm here talking about exploitation, but I hope I can also disseminate a little bit to you about also Helios and the JLM. So initial exploitation plan was D8.2. It was already submitted by month 12. Then we had the midterm exploitation plan that was submitted last summer. And then the final exploitation plan, which is still a work in progress. It's basically my main task, my best and friend and worst enemy until December 2021. We are in a civil partnership. And it's the final exploitation plan. After that, as you can see, the various blue line at the bottom, we hope to have a follow-up and a sustainability plan for Helios after Horizon 2020. So what did we do in D8.2? We did exploitation scenarios options. We evaluated them. We compiled knowledge and IPR management, a report, a spreadsheet. It's actually a spreadsheet. We wrote and published our first research note focusing on DLT and social media, and wrote the first draft of the IPR, the spreadsheet I was telling you about before, and first draft of the individual exploitation plan, as you can imagine, the one that was delivered before. On D8.4, we did the evaluation and exploitation scenarios option. We did an analysis of stakeholders and value network. We also wrote a first draft for Helios business cases that I will tell you about in a couple slides. We published the second research note on blockchain and tokens, and it was our last research note. We updated the spreadsheet for the IPR, and we updated the individual exploitation plans. What are we doing now? As you can see, we delivered this on July 2020. And in the last 18 months, we're working on deliverable 8.6, which will comprise an exploitation plan update according especially to the midterm review comments, because we had some review comments, they had some good points, and they had some constructive criticism. We're implementing them. Then we will focus on our new strategy of exploitation based on key exploitable assets. We will finish compiling the IPR sheet and the individual exploitation plans. And this is actually the new part. We are also trying to build, now that the platform is almost finished, a comprehensive exploitation plan and validation plan for the platform of Helios. So, as I said before, this last part, we decided to change a little bit our strategy and focus on key exploitable results as our building blocks for our exploitation plan. So, what is a key exploitable result? KER for short. I will call it KER from now on. As Horizon 2020 says, it's any tangible or intangible output of the action, such as data, knowledge, and information, whatever their form or nature, whether or not they can be protected by IPR, or which are generated in the action, as well as any attached rights, including intellectual property rights. So it can be anything, something tangible that you produce, like code, software, technology, prototypes, but also very material things as novelty concept or new research methodologies or new academics scientific findings at a very high level with very low TRL. So key exploitable results are identified main, an identified main result, which we select and prioritize because we think it has a high potential to be exploited. And we actually built another spreadsheet, of course, compiling all the cur that we found on Helios, on the IPR sheet, and also on the academic work on Helios. And then we presented it to our partners to see which one of these were deemed worthy of exploitation by each single partner. So from these, and this is how we build our individual exploitation plans, which I will tell you more later. What tools do we use to do exploitation? This is a general idea of the toolbox of the JLM, which is impact validation of scientific research, IPR sheet, market analysis and validation, go-to-market plan, network and dependency analysis, business model and value proposition canvas, and TRL analysis. And when you combine all these, you put it into the shaker and you talk and play with them for many, many months. One day you wake up and you have a deliverable 8.6, a final exploitation plan. So what are we going to explore in deliverable 8.6? What is going to be our last results, conclusions? We have an exploitation strategy that divides in 3 individual exploitation plans, as I said before, which is we talk to each individual partners and we say, what would you like to exploit of Helios? And this is going to be your takeaway from Helios. Then we have the platform exploitation plan, which is basically the showcase of how we can exploit the platform, and scientific exploitation, which is what kind of impact all the research, academic and scientific, that we've done in these 3 years of project can have on the scientific community or for new European research projects. Maybe not a research initiative, but maybe just an innovation action, for example. What business cases we have found so far? We call these vertical business cases. So, and they are different from individual exploitation plans, because the individual exploitation plan usually identifies one single cur and says, I could exploit it this way for my interest. The business cases are, we call it vertical because it's basically is more like, okay, this is the Helios core, or is a bunch of different modules of Helios, or even it's the whole platform of Helios, and I am interested into exploiting this whole thing for my business, for my value proposition, for a specific use case. So the first one is they come from the use cases we discussed at the beginning, on which we built, we conceived the Helios platform. The first one is Swiss Text, Citizen Journalism app. The second one is from CERT. CERT is a research institute in Thessaloniki, Greece, and it's Helios Talk app. And the third one is from Nagoon, which is a startup in Sweden. They want to take the smart environment tools we have created and integrate them into their own platform, which is also called Nagoon. So we have identified 4 different kinds of exploitation paths. The first one is scientific and nonprofit validation, which is anything that is not going to be monetizable, be it strictly not for profit or be it academic. And of course, there is our amazing Helios Cafe by Carmen. Then there is a trust and neurobehavioral classifier modules, because they are still in early stages of research. Decentralized blockchain-based social media, which is a hot topic actually in DLT research circles right now. Alternative communication from the University of Barcelona, and accessibility also from the University of Barcelona. And security and privacy in social media, which is of great interest by our partners in Finland. Single modules. communication manager, media streaming module, personal data storage, VR authoring tool, and rewarding modules are the single modules of Helios that some of our partners said we want to keep on working on them and exploit them, and maybe either retain their IPR or license their IPR even after the end of Helios. The vertical business cases, we have already discussed them just a few seconds ago. And about the platform exploitation, we are going to create different scenarios for the platform, trying to imagine use cases. We are also planning to do a hackathon for validation of the platform, and whatever good ideas, validation ideas, so use cases will come out of the hackathon, will be included into our exploitation plan. And then Helios Talk, which is the third vertical business case, we believe that it can also be used as a validation and demonstration case for the application of Helios on proper social media form. If you know vaguely how WeChat works, Helios Talk, in my personal opinion, has the potential to become a social network, an integrative social network like WeChat. So not a whiteboard like we are used in Western societies, in Western internet, like Facebook with a news feed and a dashboard, or even Instagram, or a scroll down like Snapchat or Twitter. It's more like a social network that is based on a communication, on a texting module. So it's just a very augmented, a very boosted WhatsApp. But if you had a WhatsApp where you can also have status, and you can post news, and you can watch movies and broadcast movies to watch them with your friends, and also implement small programs to play games directly on WhatsApp, or use it for citizen journalism. This is how WeChat works, not so much on the citizen journalism because of China, but this is, in my personal opinion, this is great potential that Helios Talk or another new social media may have to tackle the big players, because it would be unique for the Western world. How are we going to do all these kinds of things? And we are come to the end of my presentation of this journey. Well, this is our calendar. What we're doing this year. We, as I said before, we implement an agile methodology, so cycles, iterative cycles. We started compiling that current document I told you about before. We send a current document to each and all of our partners and asked to indicate into the current document which curves were interesting to them and how they envisioned any kind of exploitation for them. After we received back this raw data, we did in-depth informational interviews with our partners so that they could also explain and brainstorm with us face-to-face online how this could be working. We integrated the current document with this new request. We try to understand what the expectation of the partners are, and we proposed a first tentative possible result deliverable plan that we can offer them later after we analyze all the data. These exploitation plans that we are working on are going to be the first draft of our deliverable 8.6. It's not going to be still a written draft. It's just going to be, okay, these are the result of our exploitation. How do you like it? What we're going to do in summer, after we finished processing all this huge amount of data, you should see our Trello is pages long. We are going to have a second round of interviews in which we just present these raw plans to our partners and say, is this what you meant? Is this what you expected? Do you like it? If they like it, we start to write appropriate draft, appropriate document on this, a report. If they don't like it, we go back, we implement their suggestions and criticism, and we also start to write the report. At the beginning of fall, we will take this draft, send it out to our partners, let them read them and sit on them, and then have one last face-to-face meeting in which we say, okay, do you like it? Do you see yourself and your goals and your interest in this? If they say yes, we will do it. It's the final check. We will write the final draft of 8.6 and not 8.5. Apologies for the typo, guys. And then we will present it to the commission, or otherwise we will do the last final tweaking, but we expect to have the final document by fall 2021, so that by December it's ready. And I am done. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have questions.
Hello, thank you. That was a very presentation, and I will start with the questions, but please, everybody who's in the cafe, feel free to also ask questions. So after my questions, I will read yours. So, Clara, how you think we can get more external contributors, such as developers, involved in using and testing the Helios platform? So how to do it practically?
So basically, as I said before, I am in charge of UP8, which is both exploitation and dissemination. I am not the taskmaster, if we can call it that way, of dissemination. It's my colleague Anna. But what we are creating a strategy for that. And some of the things we're trying to create engagement. So we're working on an hackathon that is going to happen probably this summer. For the validation I told you about before. And then we are going to try pandemic. If the pandemic allows, we are hopeful that the pandemic will allow it, to also do some in-person event in the autumn, when we all hope the pandemic will have subsided a little bit. So we are working to get a spot on DroidCon Berlin, for example, and we will go there with our little booth and showcase our Helios and try to chase developers saying, how would you like our Helios? This is basically what we're doing now. Other than this, there's going to be a huge press release now about our first candidate prototype release. So we have an extensive dissemination campaign, not just communication, but direct engagement with the communities. And if anybody here is a developer or is in contact with the developer communities and think that Helios is interesting somehow, please do reach out to me, to our official channels. We will get back to you. We answer everybody. We always like to engage.
Okay, thank you. And then a more direct question for you. What excites you in social media in the moment, or AI research in the moment, and innovation the most? What, like you have now from Helios a lot of choices, and AI for you has a lot of choices, but what excites you?
Well, as you said before, like my profile is a little bit particular. I used to be a political scientist, and then I turned into innovation technology. And I never would have thought that I would like this word, love this word so much. I may have like spoiled this kind of question a little bit before, because as I said, I think that in the Western, let's call it the Western internet, we have a specific way to see social media. And this way, basically, the Facebook started, and then all the others somehow, even if they had some unique value proposition, some unique features, all the others uniform to the Facebook template. And the fact that the Facebook corporation had these, I'm talking in terms of business model and business strategy, had this aggressive acquisition policy to not to kill out the competition, but to absorb it. That made it so that they have a focus on centralizing, but also to differentiate production, but they also still look the same. I mean, yeah, Facebook has a more horizontal relationship among users. Instagram has a very how to say, asymmetric relationship among influencers and followers, and that comes from Twitter, definitely from Twitter. The only, basically, now it's TikTok, but it was the only competitor they had. Then they had WhatsApp, and instead of trying to develop WhatsApp, like, for example, in other parts of the world, messaging apps became more social network-like, like WeChat, as I said before. They kept it very basic. It was so hard for so many years to even get a WhatsApp call or to get the WhatsApp web app, and the web app is still like you're just using WhatsApp and you're mirroring your screen because the Facebook corporation has this problem of differentiating. So instead of doing integration, instead of going creative and build on the knowledge and the tools they have, they compartmentalize them. And I'm not talking about Twitter, because we know Twitter is a very specific use case. By now it has a very small user base. It's a very sectarian one. They are tribes. Very few people still join nowadays Twitter. They just retain their base, and also they don't have a very good brand awareness as of now. They are considered the toxic social network, and we know how toxic generally social networks are. So how much Twitter can be toxic? TikTok, I'm sorry guys, I'm a little bit too old to talk about TikTok. I know TikTok only because they repost on Instagram. I'm a bit off target, and I must confess, I'm an innovation specialist, but in my personal life, I am the latest late adopter you can imagine. So don't expect me on TikTok before 2030. But for what I can see, TikTok has some kind of a similar user. It has a similar user experience to Instagram. Just instead of having stories that are very that don't let so much creativity, you can do something that are basically all times bind, and this is it. So I think that there is space for creativity and new integration, new ideas, and also for social network, just to close it up, that allow for a better use of data, for ownership of data from users, for respect of anonymity, for respect of the right of information, less censorship, and all this kind of stuff. Just like the other day, I had to notify on Facebook a picture that was offensive, and it was nudity. And it was written, if it's not a female nipple, it's not nudity. Are we still on female nipples? Yeah, I mean, we can do better, and we can do it. Europe, for example, I'm talking because I'm a daughter of Europe. We can do it in Europe. We can do it outside of big Silicon Valley Corp.
Yeah. Yes. It was very emotional. Very good.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very personal question.
Yes, and here, now let me have a little bit the audience. Jean Nunes. Hi, John. Are there results in the project that are owned by many partners? How do you proceed when results are co-owned by many?
Well, I cannot tell you exactly if there is, because each partner had, European projects are divided in tasks and subtasks. So each partner had the responsibility to develop either a module or a part of or an algorithm of a module. So we actually know who is doing what. And by design in European projects, each of them has rights to the intellectual property. The intellectual property stays with them. So there might be some parts that have been co-developed, but in that case, they share intellectual property, or there is some kind of agreement within our DOA that says how they will share these. Overall, especially because, as I said at the beginning, these are research innovation initiative. It's not a research innovation action, not an innovation action. The difference is that we actually still do high-level research, not much a focus on business exploitation. That is why when I discussed exploitation, I said that we have many different kinds of exploitation. As you can say, I hardly talked about go-to-market plans because it's not our final goal. So in our project doing research, we still have a very scientific, let's say almost academic mindset, where we are very collaborative. We are still very respectful of each other's intellectual property, but is more, it's defined and it's collaborative. Like I have some partners that during our interviews said, I would like to exploit this module, even if I haven't built it, if I don't have the intellectual property. And part of my job is going to be talk to the other partners, convince them to do a partnership, because of course, contamination and collaboration will work better for exploitation, and also to determine how they will use it, with what kind of license. Well, each kind of module and intellectual property we have, we are actually working to find and define the different kind of license. Some of them are open source, but there are tens of different open sources licenses. So we are not using, for example, one licensing model. We are using tailor-made licensing models according to the intellectual property we are dealing with, the TRL of that property, and the intention of exploitation or follow-up further research after the project.
Okay. Thank you. I'm speaking for John. Daniel Jimenez asks, hello, thank you for the information, Clara. Some doubts. How do you prepare the global exploitation alternatives? Are from your side or from the partners? You must have said something global exploitation alternatives, did you?
Did I say global? I don't. Maybe if you meant the platform, because we don't have a geographical exploitation for now. If we're talking about the platform exploitation, it's half and half. What I mean is that we are building platform exploitation scenarios based on what the interest or what the original idea or the input of the consortium are. But at the same time, we try, as I said before, we have this collaborative method. But every time we have one of these meetings or that I do something in which I talk to the partners, I keep on telling them this thing. Exploitation is not your duty, is not your work, because the partners are academic, technical partners. It would be unfair of me to say, oh, tell me what kind of exploitation you want to do, because that is my job. What I do is ask them, what are your needs, your desires, and your expectations? And it's my job to build an exploitation plan, because many of them don't work in exploitation, are not business actors, or are not any kind of exploitation actors. Many of them are university professors. They do their research, they deliver, and then they say, why should I work more on this? And I'm like, no, you don't have to. The European Commission wants us to show that these things have impact, that are real, that are concrete. But the duty to show that to the commission is mostly on the exploitation team. So
Okay,
I hope I answered.
Yes, yes. Daniel said yes. He meant the exploitation. You did a great job. And he has another question. So he says already great thanks. But another one. Do you do any financial analysis of the different exploitation scenarios?
We do. As I said before, it's not the sole focus on this project. I have colleagues that do the same work I do. They still work with our JLM, and they do it in other projects that I have, like innovation projects, innovation actions. So they have more of a financial focus, because they have to actually build a business plan. When I showed you that slide with the funnel, and I said, this is our toolbox, that is our JLM toolbox. For example, there was a bubble that said business plan, and that bubble that says business plan is because we also do business plans. I am not sure at this point, we are still early stages. I am not sure we will do business plans for Helios exploitation, because Helios doesn't have an end goal of going to business. So, but we generally do, maybe not in Helios. Or in Helios, we are probably just going to do more like market analysis and market validation. We are probably, it's not a promise, we should talk about this in 6 months, but we are probably stopping there.
Yes, and now we're coming slowly to the end of but we have one more. It's now I'm trying to put one question with another question together. One is more comment from Josepa Bilbatua. Hi, Josepa. Clara, when you are explaining, what you are explaining is a conventional and traditional exploitation approach. I have not seen anything special or different from the usual exploitation activity within European funded projects. Yes, now comes the question, I combine it. Could you explain?
You're breaking up.
What's special about your GLM methodology?
I cannot hear you, Carmen. You broke up, I didn't hear the question.
You hear me now?
Now I hear you.
Okay, I repeat, yeah?
Thank you.
So first was the comment of Josepa.
That I heard.
You heard? She wants to know what's the difference. And my question is, what is so special about your GLM methodology? What do you think is special?
Well, what is special is that, I mean, I may agree with her saying, I think it's a she. I don't want to misgender anybody. I may agree with her, like, I don't see anything special. The building blocks of exploitation are mostly always the same. Like, I worked in exploitation before. My previous job was in consulting, and it was to build a business strategy consulting, a business exploitation consulting method for my company. And the building blocks were the same. What changes usually is basically the value proposition and the mindset and the approach, and how you combine the tools. So basically for us, what's special is that our main goal, we also work with business partners, but our main goal was to build an exploitation methodology that would not be just because the traditional way of a European project is, okay, we do the project for 18, 20 months, and then the project, 20 or 30 months, and then the project is 36 months, and in the last 6 months, we scramble to prepare a few spreadsheets or a business model to say, oh, it has business impact. What we do is just trying to bring a more comprehensive mindset. So we are there and we are active from the beginning. We contribute to the inception of the project, to the development of the project. We go and say, okay, I think that if we go in this direction, it's commercially or exploitationable viable or not. And on the other side is that we combine the fact that we talk to academia and to scientists and not to business partners, to proper business partners, to entrepreneurs, and we have to integrate business and academia, and that's why we are in between. We are not a consulting company. We are we are an applied research institute. I think that is the value proposition, is that we accompany the whole process on one side, and on the other side that we created a method to be accessible and collaborative and comprehensible to our most academic partners, and not just we don't go there doing business lingo, for instance.
Super, thank you. And I can only say that's true.
Thank you.
So I want to round it up. Last question to you, Clara. If somebody wants to know more, can he, she write you?
Yes, do please. I think you have all my contacts, both my links contact, my personal professional contacts, and also Helios contacts. I am here in both capacities, as an ambassador of links work and as an ambassador of Helios. So I hope that I try to combine the two things, because I wanted to get you interested in both Helios and the JLM. So if you have a specific interest into the JLM, please contact directly links, my contacts, and we will set up a meeting, or we will just exchange a couple emails. And we are actually, we're working on many projects. This is now I think we are on 3-4 projects. They are mostly on, or maybe more, or some of them I've finished. And most of them were Horizon 2020, and now we are preparing for a new, very hectic round of application for Horizon Europe. So we are always very interested into becoming part of a consortium, to write a proposal together, to work for grants together with other European realities, or outside of Europe, of course. We don't discriminate. And about Helios, you have on the presentation, but I mean, Carmen works in Helios with me, so you can contact us via email. You can go directly on our website. There is all kind of contact us buttons. The emails will come to us, to the consortium, to my colleague Anna, and to me, and we will reach out to you for any kind of initiatives. If somebody is, for instance, for example, interested into meeting us at DroidCon or at any other event, then maybe we can come. Please do send us a holler, send us an invitation. We will try to make it work. If somebody is interested into our hackathon, please also send us an email. I will keep you mailing list as soon as we are operative with our hackathon, or whatever form the validation event will take. We will get back to you.
Great.
And
yes,
I think I'm done.
Great. So I again thank you that you are with us, and I also thank everybody in the cafe. And please also know that today still now, I would say it's now ending, but also tomorrow is the Next Generation Internet Forum. If you haven't joined yet, it's also interesting because there's all kind of projects talking what they're doing right now. And also next week, come back next week, I'll just make advertisement for the cafe. There's Nico Sebe, professor from University Trento. Another Italian.
Oh, they are amazing. Trento is an amazing university.
Yeah, and so we will speak about image and video generation, a deep learning approach. So back to AI and media. So you all welcome. You will get the invitations, and so see you soon. And I will send you, Clara, the recording in about an hour, and you decide if you want to publish. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. It was a pleasure.